Speedway Report is produced and broadcast by the Zeus Radio Network for Racers Reunion Radio. Well, the NHRA roared through Thunder Valley. The 86th running of the 24 Hours of Le Mans races twice around the clock in France. USAC Sprint Cars head to Pennsylvania for the Eastern Storm. All this and more coming up. Welcome to Speedway Report for Monday, June the 18th, 2018. From the shores of Lake Norman in Race City, USA, Mooresville, North Carolina. I'm Patrick Reynolds, and thanks all of you for joining the fastest half hour in racing. I hope all the fathers out there had a wonderful Father's Day yesterday. And a big hat tip to the single moms that are doing the job of two parents on Father's Day. God bless you all. Thanks for being with us tonight. Let's jump right in this Father's Day weekend with the Speedway Report Victory Lane Lap. Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Tour was off, but still a whole lot to talk about. Lots of racing action. NASCAR's Xfinity Series was on the 7/8 of a mile in Iowa yesterday afternoon. I should say early yesterday evening. The checkered flag waved over Justin Allgaier as he was the winner there. The trucks were in Iowa on Saturday night, and Brett Moffitt took a very close, narrow victory. Put him in victory lane. NASCAR's Whelen Modified Tour was in action all the way last Thursday. They got weathered out on Wednesday. They ran the race Thursday up in Thompson, Connecticut on the 5/8 of a mile. Justin Bonsignor takes his second win of the year at Thompson. NASCAR's K&N Pro Series East Tour went left and right as they race at the New Jersey Motorsports Park road course. On Saturday evening, Will Rogers was your winner there. He won 2 races in 2017 on the tour. Yep, both of them on road courses. NHRA was just up the road from us here in Charlotte, North Carolina, at the Thunder Valley. They were in Bristol, Tennessee. And in Top Fuel, the Sarge, Tony Schumacher, took down the win. That is his first win of the season. And in Funny Car, Ron Capps was your winner. He also took his first win of the season. Jay Coughlin took down Pro Stock, but he's been in victory lane already. So 2 out of 3 were first-time winners in 2018. Jumping to the dirt, the Lucas Oil late models ran the Clash at the MAG at Columbus, Missouri on Saturday night. Won by Hudson O'Neal. Nice $20,000 paycheck for that young man. He is the son of the real deal Don O'Neal. Sounds like Hudson's the real deal, too, and the apple did not fall far from the tree. He's got some top 10s this year. Very popular win on the Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Tour. Now, the World of Outlaw late models are in the Northeast. On Thursday night, they raced in Jamestown, New York. Brandon Shepard was your winner. Friday night, they were up in over in the west part of the state in Ransomville. Mike Marlar won. And Saturday, they made their way to Orrville, Ohio. Shepard took his second win of the weekend and his 5th win of the season. World of Outlaw sprints were a whole lot further away. Up in North Dakota on Friday night in Grand Forks, Donnie Schatz was your winner. And last night in Minot, North Dakota, Darren Pittman. So we had 2 World of Outlaw sprint car wins, and Schatz and Pittman split the features. Who would have thought? Sarcasm. And ARCA, they raced in Oregon, Wisconsin, and Chandler Smith won driving for Venturini Motorsports. Smith is only 15 years old, almost 16, but still he's the third driver in series history that registered a win while still being in the 15-year marker in ARCA. Now, USAC Sprints ran their annual Eastern Storm. I should say are still running their annual Eastern Storm. They're not done yet. Let's back up to last week. Thursday night, they raced in Grandview, Pennsylvania, where Brady Bacon was your winner. Friday night, they were at the Grove, Williams Grove, the big half mile. Chris Wyndham won the A-Main there. Saturday night, they towed over to Port Royal, Pennsylvania. Wyndham doubled up again, takes his second win of the series in the Northeast. And last night in York Haven, Robert Ballou checkers in the A-Main. Now, tonight, they are in Bridgeport, New Jersey. So we're on the East Coast. I'm checking in at 7:36. So if you're in sound of this telecast and you're near Bridgeport, when this is over, head over to the Speedway to see the sprint cars. Not before. Watch the show. But after we're done, go over to Bridgeport and check out some sprint cars. Tomorrow night, they will wrap up the Storm in Weedsport, New York. Don't worry. Next week, we'll have all the results as well as the series champ. Grandview, Pennsylvania We talked about the sprint cars on Thursday night. Well, Saturday night, they raced their usual modified contest, and regular Saturday night, wow, one of the all-time legends, Craig Von Doren, wound up in victory lane again at Grandview, Pennsylvania. Closer to home here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, the Bowman Gray Stadium hosted the NASCAR Modifieds. They ran twin 50s. Your split winners were Jonathan Brown and Lee Jeffries. And the big race to me of the entire weekend was 24 hours of Le Mans. This was Toyota's time to shine. Now, the qualifying results placed a pair of Toyota hybrids on the pole and the second starting positions for the race, which began Saturday and ended Sunday at the same time with the same two cars atop the field. In both of the last 2 years in the LMP1 class, Porsche pretty much had stolen victory from Toyota, which had issues along the way. Both hybrids were able to avoid any trouble this year on their way to a 1-2 finish. This year's race featured perhaps the strongest group of Toyota drivers ever. Among those to drive for the winning team were Kazuki Nakajima, Sebastian Buemi, and the big point I want to make tonight, standing in top the winner's circle with that Toyota, two-time Formula One champion Fernando Alonso. My good friend, because we're like this. Not really, but I had a chance to see him last year up at Indianapolis. So let's talk about Alonso. That's what tripped my trigger over the weekend. Well, I want to talk about the Toyotas first. Let's talk about Le Mans. Okay, I'll just jump around here a little bit. Toyotas at Le Mans, their time to shine. I'm going to mention them because they did a heck of a job. They've been so strong the past several years. And I just like to mention Toyotas on my show because I love the legend Tim Leaning. And I know it's driving him nuts when I mention Toyotas, so I do it. So there. Toyotas 1-2 at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Hey, Tim. We'll see him Tuesday night on the GOAT Rodeo at racersreunion.com. Anyway, let's talk about my man Alonso. Fernando Alonso, the Spaniard, two-time world champion. He's got some lifetime bucket list goals. With this checkered flag yesterday afternoon in France, he now has 2 out of the 3. This to me is a big tipping point. You won the Formula One championship so long ago. You are not competitive where he is right now for race victories, even though he's getting the maximum out of the cars that he has. He's got the world championship, 2 of them, like he talked about. His second goal, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, which he's just got yesterday. This was a big deal. This was a fulcrum. World championship so long ago. Now you've got 2 left to go. The 24 Hours in the Indianapolis 500. 2 specific races. He just nailed it down yesterday at Le Mans. Indy 500. I put this out on Twitter and on Facebook earlier today. Raise your hand if you think that Alonso will not be at the 2019 Indy 500. If your hand is raised, slap yourself upside the head. Put it down. Put it down. I don't know how. I don't know who. I don't know how this is going to happen. He'll be at Indianapolis back in 2019. He made such a big splash in 2017 at the Indy 500 with his deal with McLaren and Honda and Andretti Autosport. It was such a big deal. It carried over a little bit to this year as well. For him to skip Monte Carlo in 2017 because he wanted to run the Indianapolis 500. Honda had so many engines to go around. And one of the guys to give up his seat, Stefan Wilson, he gave up that Honda engine, and Alonso got that seat. And Alonso did an excellent job. And skip it forward, I'm going to go off on a tangent here a little bit. Wilson was leading the Indy 500 this year with just about under 5 laps to go, but he had to pit for fuel. What a story that would have been to write. But anyway, I digress. I go back to 2017, and Alonso qualified in the top 10, made his way to the lead, was out front for a good portion of the race when the Honda engine let go with about 20 laps to go on the 500. He the Hondas had a reliability issue in 2017 anyway, even though they wound up winning the race with Takuma Sato. The Chevrolets were banking on the Hondas not making the distance. Honda came to the teams that year and talked about, do you want more speed? It'll give you up reliability. And the Honda guys said, let's go for the speed. And, if we got to give up reliability, so what? Let's get some steam in here. They did, and Alonso did very well with that car. 20 laps to go, blew up. He was running, I believe, in the 7th position. Now, I didn't foresee him passing 6 cars in the final 20 laps of the race. However, it was a big, big splash for him to be there. A whole lot of interest, whole lot of energy. Something I noticed about him, just from what I see on TV over the years versus his attitude in 2017 at the 500, was how much fun he was having. He was just enjoying himself. He liked being there. He was competitive for the lead, competitive for the win, and he was just enjoying himself. And I just got a vibe that, just spend a little bit of time around the man. I looked at him in Formula One and just seemed like he was not having anywhere near that type of vibe anymore in F1, and he's certainly not out now. And this reflection that he had at Indy in 2017, I saw at Le Mans in 2018. Here he was contending for the win, which if you give him the right equipment and put him in contention, he can obviously do it. He hasn't forgotten how to drive a race car, but in F1, you're as good as your equipment is, period. And that's what it is. So I didn't believe that 2017 at Indianapolis was a one and done. I think that race remains very, very important to him. Some way, somehow, with whatever team, he should be back. Now, where will he do in 2019 full-time? With the win yesterday in Le Mans, and I'm not the first guy to say this, but my gut tells me is like, this is the last we're going to see of him in Formula One as the 2018 season winds down. This is it. He's going to go pursue some other dreams. He's going to go chase other things, and the Indianapolis 500 is very high on that list. Will we see him full-time in IndyCar in 2019 remains to be seen. That would be sweet. That would be fantastic to see him over here in the United States for the entire series. The two-time F1 guy. I love it when these guys do that. We had Rubens Barrichello for a year in 2012, 11, something like that, when he left Formula One and ran a year in IndyCar, and he was at the 500. I'd love to see Rubens come back for that matter. But Alonso, this is just Patrick talking. I've got no evidence or factual papers or contracts to hold up to the camera or talk to you guys over the radio. But he'll be back in 2019. Bank on it. He'll run the 2019 Indianapolis 500. Could very well be a full-time IndyCar guy. Would he run the World Endurance Championship? Would he go some other races? I mean, do I hear Pikes Peak? Do I hear supercars? I don't know. But I don't see him, after the win yesterday in France, I just cannot see him as a full-time F1 guy in 2019 running for, on a good day, a 7th place. He's on his best day right now with McLaren. He's a 7th to 8th place car. They're behind Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull. Those are your top 6 entrants. He's 7th on a great day. That's not him. He needs to contend for the win. He's that kind of race car driver. He said as much as most true race car drivers are. 2nd place is not good enough. They want to win. And right now, Alonso is filling the field. He's in the top 10. That's not good enough. Absolutely, 100%. Book it. He'll be at the Indy 500 in 2019. Welcome back to the Spaniard. I've got no evidence or ammunition, but I certainly anticipate it and look forward to it. I'm a European road racing nerd, so I love it when these guys come over here, especially when they want to run the ovals. But that just makes me want to get to more IndyCar races that much more. Going to stop here for the open wheel stuff. Go on over to the fender stuff, and I want to talk about the NASCAR races over the weekend at the Iowa Speedway out in the heartland of the United States. Weak crowd at Iowa compared to what they can do or have done in the past as well. And a big water cooler topic, the debate, is where was everybody in Iowa? This had a lot of flavor that folks were talked about. I'll bow down to NASCAR Sirius Radio, and this was talked about a lot today on the channel, but this was a topic I wanted to bring up here, not trying to mimic NASCAR Sirius XM, but because, well, Patrick thought about it too, and I was like, that's a topic I want to cover tonight and talk about tonight. But they got to me. They're on all day. What can I tell you? I'm not part of the massive industry there yet. They just haven't realized it yet that they should have us. But here's what the formula was. We had a short track, which this is pretty big for a short track. Yeah, I'll call it under a mile. It's considered a short track. So we're at a 7/8 of a mile track. So a standalone event with non-cup guys on a short track, this is what a lot of race fans clamor for, is that type of description. However, they often refer to, when fans do this, the fans' complaint and their talk about this is more of a southern traditional track, like the old late model sportsman days in the 70s and the 80s, South Boston, Virginia. Hickory, North Carolina, Asheboro, North Carolina, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. A lot of short tracks down here that the tour used to race at. Is that what you're looking for, is the local stuff? Because all the late model sportsman guys that were on a national tour or a regional tour were also local drivers from here in the Southeast. So a lot of that fan base was built in. Here we go in the heartland of the country, in Iowa. Now, there's a ton of race fans in Iowa. Watch the Knoxville Nationals. You've got so many people that come into that event every August. It's unreal. That's an event that's like arguably the biggest short track race in the country. You got a good case for it if you feel that it is. So you're in a good spot with a lot of race fans. Now, the weather was really hot, and these races were held in the daytime. Guys, hey, I remember Firecracker 400s being green flagged at 10 a.m. on July 4th down in Daytona. Hot as bejesus, but we had 100,000 people in the stands, and we had trouble filling the stands here at Iowa. I got a question, this 4 p.m. green flag on Sunday afternoon. I didn't know if that was a racetrack decision or a television broadcast partner decision. Fox was juggling the World Cup as well as the golf tournament. So, yeah, I don't know where we lied, if that was a Fox decision or not. I just see Sunday afternoons. I've been a fan of those later starts for television reasons, but not so much for in person. I'd much rather start a race at noon or 1 o'clock at the latest while you're there. It helps you on the drive home Sunday night to get ready for work tomorrow morning. But if we get back to the days of Sam Ard, Jack Ingram, Butch Lindley, Tommy Houston, what do we have racing today? There's a lot of rich kids in the Xfinity series. Does anybody care whether you put these guys on a short track or not? What track are we looking to go to? Iowa is certainly not the cure or the answer for that equation. I like Iowa. I like the idea of putting the Xfinity Tour on a standalone short track. But is Iowa the fix for this? Can it be fixed with just a general evolution of NASCAR stock car racing? I had a talk with the Bob Morgan, who's the president of the Charlotte Chamber of Commerce, old Dale Earnhardt fan. And he, one of the many, many people that came across and talked about how his interest in NASCAR waned a lot after Earnhardt got killed in 2001. And what Earnhardt had in common, forget about his driving style and hard-nosed edge, but Dale Earnhardt grew up in the cotton mills around here as a worker in, Kannapolis, and made his way to big-time stock car racing. And that was true with a lot of the Grand National field, is that they were short-track racers. They held a job. They were plumbers, and carpenters, and salesmen, and construction guys. And then they raced on the weekends, and they worked their way up in professional motorsports. And have we just lost touch? Because Earnhardt could have been any one of us. Neil Bonnet was a pipe fitter. He could have been any one of us. A lot of these guys could have been roofers or a concrete mason, and they could have been any one of us, but they were the chosen guys that were able to make it to the top level of Grand National racing when I grew up. Is that what we need to resonate with the race fans? There's not all rich kids in Xfinity, but there's certainly a lot. There's a section of good short track racers that are getting their chance and working their way up through the ranks. There's also a lot of rich kids with dads with big checkbooks that are in the field as well. You know, are we better off with 24 cars on a Saturday night in Hickory, North Carolina, with people that we know who they are, the short track stars that made it? Or, you know, are we racing in a semi-super speedway atmosphere up in Iowa and trying to draw the crowd, you know, with the trust fund kid crowd? I don't know. You know, NASCAR's K&N series, you know, is kidded about as being the kids and nephews series, because that's dads with rich checkbooks buying their kids a ride and sending them up through the ranks trying to get them to the professional level. But there was certainly something missing at the Iowa short track. Do you think it would have been better if we raced in Hickory, North Carolina? Would that have made a difference? Would you have shown up if it was in South Boston, Virginia? Or maybe a short track even in the Northeast? What about Jennerstown, Pennsylvania? Nashville, Tennessee? You know, do we go back to Pensacola, Florida? I don't know. I don't know the answer. I think it's multiple factors in this, but a short track, non-cup field for the Xfinity series on a Saturday night, I think I'd have more interest in the race in Hickory, North Carolina. Why? It's closer to me. I'm not going to Iowa, but the racing was sure good. We've talked about it on this show before, how to fix the Xfinity series, those standalone races in the short tracks. The fix sure was in Iowa this weekend. If you're watching us on Facebook, write in the comments what you think needs to be done to the Xfinity series. I'd be interested to know. Tell me your thoughts on fixing the Xfinity series. It's certainly broken. I'll admit it. I like it, but it's broken. You're not training any Jack Ingrams of the future. Your guys are all using this as a stepping stone to Cup. You need to make it more of a destination rather than a development series. Patrick's 2 cents on the Xfinity series. Guys, in between our broadcasts, keep up with the world of auto racing with SpeedwayReport.com. This broadcast and all of our past shows are uploaded onto the site. We've got some racing articles to read. I wrote a new one a few weeks ago about the end of Danica Patrick's career. I'm still working on that one of Bobby Santos III. The backdrop of that is the Little 500 at the Anderson Speedway. Don't worry, I will let you know as soon as it is posted. This broadcast and all of our past episodes are on the Speedway Report with Patrick Reynolds Facebook page, the Racers Reunion Facebook page. We're on Twitter at Speedway Report and at Speedway Pat. We're in the forum at racersreunion.com and on the front page of speedwayreport.com. And if you're connected to me on Google+, LinkedIn, and Facebook, as well as our YouTube channel. Big thanks to everyone on the Facebook Live feed for joining the conversation during the show tonight. I will get back to you guys very shortly. Go see a race at a track near you. Summertime officially hits this week by the calendar, even though temperature's already here. Grassroots, ovals, drag strips, and road courses are the backbone and foundation of the auto racing world. I want to thank all of the military past and present for the freedoms we enjoy as Americans in our daily life, including the simple things like bench racing right here on a Monday night. Freedom is not free, and a veteran paid that bill for us. To all of the men and women who are defending freedom and watching Speedway Report, take care of yourselves and come home soon. A special salute to the teachers, school staff, firefighters, police officers, and paramedics in our own communities. They are quiet and modest heroes every single day. God bless and thank you. You have been watching Speedway Report from the shores of Lake Norman in Race City, USA, Mooresville, North Carolina. Please like our Facebook page, Speedway Report with Patrick Reynolds. Follow me on Twitter at Speedway Pat. Now, on the Drag Racing List Facebook page next is Racing and Rockin' with Draglist.com. Join BP, JB, and BS for your drag racing news and some cool music. That's Drag Racing List on Facebook. We will be back live here on Facebook next week, Monday, June the 25th, where they look at NASCAR Cup in Sonoma, California, Indy cars at Road America, the French Grand Prix, short tracks, and a whole lot more. Thank you for joining us. I will see you next time.